Welcome to the webinar. Please stay.
Please check it, guys. All of you are getting my voice on the screen. No response, guys. All of you are getting my voice on the screen. Those are attending in online, please respond for me. Guys, all of you are getting my voice on the screen. Okay, fine. Right, sir. Now, can you please check it what we completed in the last session? In the last session, we understood directly here data persistence through serialization and deserialization. That part here we understood there. First of all, I given what exactly the meaning of serialization and deserialization. So what is the serialization? Actually, the process of separating data from an object is called as serialization. Okay. Then what is the next one? Process of reconstructing an object on the basis of the data is called as what? There, deserialization. Next one, in the serialization, after separating data, we will store the data in a flat file. In a deserialization, we will get serialized data from the flat file and we will perform deserialization. Right, sir. In Java applications, if we want to serialize any object, first we have to check whether that object is eligible for serialization or not. If the object is not eligible for serialization, then make that object eligible for serialization and deserialization. To make eligible any object for serialization and deserialization, simply we have to implement java.io.serializable marker interface in the respective class. What is this marker interface actually? Marker interface is a Java interface. It doesn't have any methods, but by implementing it will provide some abilities to the objects at runtime. By implementing it, objects are able to get some abilities at runtime. Example is what they're serializable. In Java, by default, all objects are not eligible for serialization and deserialization. Only the objects which are implementing java.io.serializable interface are eligible for what their serialization and deserialization. Class employee implements a serializable. Class employee implements what their serializable that we are getting. In Java, to perform serialization and deserialization, Java has provided the following two byte-oriented streams. What are the two byte-oriented streams which are provided here? Object output stream for serialization and object input stream for deserialization. Object output stream for serialization and object input stream for deserialization. Next one, guys. Observe carefully. Then after that, what next one here? Steps. I give some steps there. First, we have to create file output stream to make ready target file. Then file output stream fi is equal to new file output stream. I think so. I given already diagram there. You can observe this diagram clearly. Serialization and deserialization diagram here. Right. So now this is exactly the meaning of like what the serialization and deserialization. So first of all, make ready the target file through file output stream. File output stream here we created. Next, we create object output stream. Object output stream OS is equal to new object output stream of file output stream. Then after that, prepare that ready this employee object. Employee object is a serializable object already. Then send that employee object to the object output stream. Object output stream will perform the required serialization. It will convert the data. It will separate the data from the object, and the data will be given to the file output stream, and file output stream will store the data into the text file. Now here the text file is what there is a flat file. That's a part of the hard disk. So it's a permanent memory. So the data will be stored permanently. So here we are able to achieve what there? Data persistence permanently. Here we are able to achieve data persistence. Then after that, in the deserialization process, what we are able to do there we are able to get like what there? First of all, prepare this file input stream. When we prepare file input stream, automatically the data which is available in abc.txt that will come to file input stream. When the data is coming to the file input stream, then what we have to do there? Then create that object input stream with the file input stream. Then automatically the data which is coming, which is available in file input stream, that will come to the object input stream. In object input stream, some data is provided. On the basis of the data, object will be regenerated. Then after that, read that deserialized object from the object input. Then we are able to read that object. Finally, here we are able to get the respective object. Right, sir. Now, anyway, here we provided some serialization, deserialization here. Now, here some drawbacks are available with serialization and deserialization. What drawbacks are existed here? It is not suitable for enterprise applications. It may be suitable for simple standalone applications. Next one is, we must use byte-oriented streams in serialization and deserialization. It is supporting for only byte-oriented data, not supporting for other type of data. With the serialization and deserialization, we are able to perform only insert and read operations, not possible to perform updations and delete operations now. Next one is, query language support is not existed, so database operations are complex. This is one thing. Next, apart from this, few more drawbacks are available. Of course, right. Multi-user environment is not available. Multi-access, like what their concurrent access. Okay, that's very clear. Concurrent access over the data is difficult. Concurrent access over the data is difficult. At a time, I want to access. At a time, multiple members want to access the data. Multiple programs wants to access the data. So it's somewhat difficult. Of course, we can make it is possible, but it is difficult. It is difficult to manage like what there concurrent access can. Anyway, all are drawbacks only with this serialization and deserialization. Lot of code here we have to write. Answer my point here. For simple operations, we have to write. We have to write more number of instructions. More number of instructions. Moreover, it is depending on file system. File system is what the platform dependent. Okay. Right. Anyway, then these are the various problems are available with the serialization and deserialization mechanism. If you want to use that as a data processing solution. Okay, leave it now. Now, the second alternative here we have to understand what is the second alternative there? Data persistence through JDBC. What is the second alternative there? Data persistence through JDBC. Right, sir. What is the second alternative there? Data persistence through JDBC. Right. Guys, now I'm asking one question to all of you. Now try to answer for it. What is this JDBC actually? At least abbreviation. What is this JDBC? Come on, guys. You have to give answer for it. What is this JDBC? Java database connectivity. Not connection, connectivity. Java database connectivity. Okay. This is the meaning of JDBC. Right, sir. How we are able to achieve data persistence in a JDBC? How it is possible there? Okay. So if you want to prepare JDBC application, first we have to see some steps. What exactly the steps here we are going to use to prepare JDBC applications? Now I'll give some clarity. Now try to understand it clearly. Now JDBC definitions and all the things are not required here. Or else maybe if you want to go for the JDBC definitions, no. Here we have so many concepts here. JDBC definition, if you think about it, JDBC, it is a step-by-step process, comma, a technology, comma, an abstraction, or an API, or whatever it may be. Anything here we can say. It is a step-by-step process, or a technology, or an abstraction, provided by Sun Microsystems and implemented by all database vendors in order to connect with the database from Java applications, to perform database operations from Java applications. Right, sir. So the simple definition for JDBC is what there. It is a step-by-step process or a technology or an abstraction provided by Sun Microsystems and implemented by all the database vendors in order to connect with the database from Java applications to perform database operations from Java applications. This is exactly the meaning of like what their JDBC definition. Anyway, even the definition is also be okay. Right, sir. Now to prepare this JDBC, then what we have to do now? To prepare JDBC applications, what steps here we require? We have to use the following steps. What are the various steps here we have to use there? Guys, observe carefully. Now, step number 3. Step number 1, load and register driver. Load and register driver. Second one is like what there? Establish connection between Java application and a database. Establish connection between Java application and database. Third one, for this, the third one is create either statement or prepared statement or callable statement as per the requirement. Okay, as per the requirement. Then after that, write and execute SQL queries. After that, fifth one is close the resources. Right, so now these are overall 5 steps we required if you want to write any JDBC application. What 5 steps can we required here? First one is like what there? Load and register driver. The second one is what there? Establish connection between Java application and database. Third one is create either statement or prepared statement or callable statement as per the requirement. Fourth one is write and execute SQL queries. And fifth one is like what there? Close the resources. Right, so now these are exactly the steps here what we required now. Guys, all of you are getting clarity? What are the points here I'm trying to say now? All of you are getting clarity in these points, what I'm telling to you? Right. Please give response for me time to time, guys. Right, sir. Now here, first of all, let us come for this load and register driver. So let me show, I want to explain this everything through the diagram here and try to understand it. Here, this is my Java application. Okay. Here, this is database. Okay. Database. Now my requirement is like what there? I have to connect with the database from Java application. That's my requirement now. Okay. Now here, what I'm telling there clearly, whenever we are saying database now, here automatically here we are able to have like what there? Database engine. Database server or database engine, either of the thing here we need to have. This database engine will connect with the database through username and password. Database engine will connect with the database through username and password. Okay. Next one. After that, after completion of this, Observe carefully. Now here, first of all, what we have to do there, we have to load and register the driver. At Java side here, we have to provide what there, a driver. This is like what I'm telling there, JDBC driver. A type 4 driver, all. If it is a type 1 driver, then definitely we require ODBC also, but I'm not thinking about this type 1 driver. Now this is like what there, some driver. Type 4 driver, we can understand. The type 4 driver only we are going to use frequently in our applications. Right, sir. Now, first of all, we have to make ready this driver, load and register the driver. Load and register the driver. Okay. How we are going to load and register the driver here? This is step number 1 here. I'm telling there. This is step number 1. How we are able to load and register the driver. To load and register the driver, in step number 1, we have to use one instruction. What is that instruction here? We are able to do there. Class dot for name of. There we have to provide driver class. Driver class here we have to provide. What is the driver class here? We are going to provide the Oracle dot JDBC dot Oracle driver. Class dot for name of Oracle dot JDBC dot Oracle driver. This is what exactly the driver class here we specified clearly. Guys, observe carefully. Next one is after this. After understanding this one, what is going to be happen internally? When JVM executes this, then what will happen internally? Right, sir. When JVM executes the above instruction, then JVM will perform the following actions. When JVM executes the above instruction, JVM will perform the following actions. Okay. Then what next one here? After completion of this, then what next one here? What are the various actions? No? First of all, JVM will search for the provided driver class. JVM will search for the provided driver class at the following 3 locations. What are the 3 locations here? We are able to search there. The JVM will search there. First one is current location from where we are executing the program. Next one is at Java predefined library. At Java predefined library. And third one is like what there at the locations referred by class path environment variable. At the locations referred by class path environment variable. Okay. Right, sir. These are the like 3 locations here what we are having. Observe carefully. JVM will search for the provided driver class at the following 3 locations. What are the 3 locations here? Current location, Java predefined library, locations referred by class path environment variable. All right, sir. Point number 2. If the required driver class is not existed, is not identified at either of the or at all the above locations or at either of the above locations, then what JVM will do? Know JVM what it able to provide. If the required driver class is not identified at either of the above locations, then JVM will raise an exception. Like what is that exception? You know, java.lang. Class not found exception. Guys, all of you get my point or not? So if the required driver class is not identified at either of the above locations, then JVM will raise an exception like java.lang.class not found exception. Fine. That's okay. Good. Nice. Next one is after completion of this, then what is the next point here? We can understand the third point is what now? If the provided driver class is identified, then JVM will load as a bytecode to the memory. Then fourth point I'm telling there, at the time of loading, driver class bytecode. Guys, observe carefully. At the time of loading driver class bytecode, JVM will execute a static block. Next one. In a static block, there is a method call. Driver manage driver manager dot register driver. In a static block, there is a method call. Like what the driver manager dot register method. So it will be executed. Okay, with this only driver will be registered for our JDB's application. With this particular thing only, driver will be existed. Driver will be that means with this particular step only, driver will. 1 minute, guys. 1 minute, wait. Guys, so now here at the time of loading the driver class bytecode, JV will execute a static block. In the static block, there is a method called driver manager register driver. It will be executed. Right, sir. Then automatically with these steps only, driver will be registered in our application. The driver will be existed in our applications. Right, sir. Now this is whenever we are using class.for for name method. That's why I'm explaining all the steps now. We require these steps before moving to the Hibernate. Here I can say some drawbacks with this particular one. At the same time, some revision also I'm giving for JDBC. JDBC is a basic for what their Hibernate. That's why I'm discussing about this content here clearly. Okay. Right, sir. Now, this is what exactly the internal concept here we are using. Now, type 4 driver class here we are providing now that that we are going to use in Hibernate also clearly. This is sorry. Right, sir. Now, anyway, now this is what exactly the functionality of like what they load and register the driver. Of course, in the latest version, this step is optional. This load and register the driver step is what they're optional in the latest versions here, but not required anyway. Now let's come for this one, second one here. What is the second one here? Actually, establish the connection between Java application and database. Establish the connection between Java application and database. That means JDBC driver with a database engine. Okay. Now, then what we have to do there? JDBC driver. Yeah, thanks, Ravi. Right, I'll check it. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. Let's come for it. Now, the second thing is like what I'm telling to you. This is the second step. This is what the second step I'm telling there. Establish a connection between Java application and a database. Okay. Then what next one here now? How we are going to establish a connection between Java application and database there? To establish connection between Java application and a database, we have to use the following method. What method here we have to use there? Right. The method would be directly I'm writing that instruction here, not method. Instruction here I'm going to write. What instruction here I'm writing there? Connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection. Here we have to provide three parameters. What are the three parameters? Can know JDBC colon. First of all, driver URL here we have to provide JDBC colon, Oracle colon, JDBC colon. What next one here, guys? Not done. JDBC colon, Oracle colon, thin colon @ localhost colon 1521 colon XE. This is the driver URL, comma. Database username and password here we have to provide. For my database, username is system and password is what the Durga. For my database, username is system and password is what the Durga. That we are able to get it. Okay, now this is exactly the meaning of like what there. Connection. Establish the connection. Then here, what will happen? Then get connection method. Get connection method will access. Get connection method will access connect method internally. It will establish socket connection. It will establish socket connection between Java application and the database. Guys, observe carefully. Then get connection method of the driver manager class will access connect method internally. That connect method will establish socket connection between Java application and database. Right. So this is one point here. Next one is after completion of this. So connection here we are getting there. That's okay, fine. Next one is what next one here no? Third step here no? Create either statement or prepared statement or callable statement. Observe carefully. I'm asking one more question there. In JDBC application, after loading the driver, after establish the connection, then what is the remaining process, sir? Now tell me. What should be the remaining process there? Now tell me. Guys, observe carefully. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen now. All of you get my voice on screen. Please confirm to me. Am I audible? Okay, nice. Now tell me, guys, all of you know, after loading the driver and after getting connection between Java application and database, what are the remaining steps there? Now tell me. You only tell me. What exactly the remaining steps are available? What steps are available remaining now? Right, so remaining part is we have to write and execute the SQL query. Right my point or not? After getting connection, we have to write and execute SQL queries. But to write and execute SQL queries, what we require now? We need some predefined library. To write and execute SQL queries, what we require here, we need some predefined library. So here the required predefined library. Here the required predefined library. Here the required predefined library is provided by Java in the form of statement, comma, prepared statement, comma, callable statement. Right, sir, in the form of like what the statement or prepared statement or callable statement. Okay. After getting connection, then what we have to do there? Just we have to write and execute SQL queries. To write and execute SQL queries, we need some predefined library. Here the required predefined library is provided by Java in the form of statement, prepared statement. Then what next one here now? Callable statement. Okay. Right, sir. Observe carefully. Then how we are going to prepare statement? Then what is the difference between statement, prepared statement? That we'll understand later on. Okay, or else maybe on a single statement, if you want to observe this statement for what there for individual SQL queries execution. For individual SQL queries execution. Prepared statement for repeatable SQL queries execution. Same SQL query. We want to execute multiple times again. Same SQL query, multiple times again I want to execute. There we are going to use what there? Prepared statement. Next one is callable statement. For what purpose there we are going to use this callable statement? No? For accessing stored procedures and stored functions. For accessing stored procedures and stored functions. For that purpose only, we are able to use like what there? This is a callable statement. Okay. Statement for static query, prepared statement for dynamic query, callable statement. What is the static query and dynamic query? Okay, I understood your point. Static query in the sense like what there? Where static data we are providing. Dynamic query in the sense like what there? Dynamic data here we want to provide. That means in the form of placeholders and all. That is one difference is okay, but the main intentions are not like this. Main intentions are like what there? If any SQL query individually, if you want to execute which statement we are going to use, where SQL queries are not repeatable, all SQL queries are not repeatable, individual SQL queries only we want to execute, the statement will be used. But when we come for this prepared statement, then what is going to be happen there? When we have the same SQL query to execute, for example, 100 times I want to execute insert SQL query. 100 employees I want to insert into the database. 100 insert SQL. 100 times I have to execute insert SQL query. But whenever we are executing 100 times insert SQL query, every time we have to parse the SQL query and we have to execute the query. But every time parsing is not required. Why? Because one time parsing is sufficient to insert, to execute 100 times insert SQL query. One time parsing is sufficient, but 100 time insertion is required. But one time parsing is sufficient for inserting 100 SQL queries. No? Right? For this particular requirement, if you use statement, no, 100 times you have to parse, then 100 records you have to insert. But if it's prepared statement, no, one time we are going to parse the SQL query, then 100 records are going to be inserted. So where performance will be improved. Because of this particular reason only, we are going to use what there? Prepared statement, not because of this dynamic values there. Not dynamic values is an advantage with that. Dynamic values is what there is an advantage with that. Understand it clearly. Right, sir. That's fine. Anyway, callable statement is for accessing stored procedures and functions. Even in Hibernate also, we are able to have this type of concepts. Definitely, I'm going to use them. How to access stored procedures and functions in Hibernate that we are going to see. Okay, right, sir. That's fine now. But how we are able to create statement object at present? That part here we require now. Statement st is equal to con dot create statement. Statement st is equal to con dot create statement. Okay. Then what is going to be happen here? Insert this now. Insert this. What is going to be happen now? Right, sir. Con dot create statement will create statement object. It will return statement object clearly. Okay. So here we are getting statement object. Whenever we are getting statement object, there we are able to write and execute SQL query. There we are able to write and execute SQL query. Now let's check this one here. The next step now. Right, sir. Now after getting statement object, we have to write and execute SQL queries. To write and execute SQL queries, we have to use the following methods. What methods here we are able to use there? All of you guys, now observe carefully. That methods would be like what there: execute query method, execute update method, and then what next one here? Execute method. Overall, these methods are existed. Then what is the purpose of each and every method? What is the purpose of each and every one? Observe carefully. What is the purpose of each and every method here? We have to understand it clearly. Guys, now observe carefully. Execute query method is for what purpose there? I think you are coming to the Hibernate in the sense you might be completed JDBC. But anyway, I'm repeating all the steps what I required there. Now, at least answer for my questions here. What is the purpose of execute update method, guys? Please respond for me. What is the purpose of execute query method? Execute query method, I'm asking there. To execute, select SQL query. That's it. Not more than that. Of course, to perform DQL or whatever it may be, but inside these SQL queries, number of SQL queries are available. To execute select SQL query, which method here we are going to use there? Execute query method. We have to use what there? Execute query method. To execute select SQL query, we are able to use execute query method. Okay. Next one. What is the purpose of this execute update method there? To execute non-select SQL queries. To execute what there? Non-select SQL queries. What are these non-select SQL queries, guys? Now tell me. Non-select SQL queries. Even create, drop, alter. These are DDL SQL queries. Next one is insert, update, delete. These are DML SQL queries. All right. These many SQL queries here we are able to execute. Okay. Right, sir. Last one is available. When we are able to use this execute method, by using this, what we are able to do now? Both the select and non-select SQL queries are executed with execute query and execute update. Okay. But by using execute method, we are able to execute both the select and non-select SQL queries. By using this execute method, we are able to execute both the select and non-select SQL queries. We are able to execute. Right, sir. When an SQL query is coming dynamically, while executing the Java application, if an SQL query is coming dynamically, if any SQL query is coming dynamically, answer my point here. There, we are able to use execute method instead of using execute query and execute update method. Okay. Understand it. So these are the purposes here we can understand. But immediately here, my requirement is like what there. I'm telling you, not try to understand it. For example, result set. rs is equal to st dot execute query of select star from emp1. Select star from emp1. This data here we are getting there. Select star from emp1. Then what is the meaning of it now? Select SQL query here we executed there. Results will be fetched from database. The database data will be stored in the form of result set object. Then how we are able to read the data from result set object here? Simply here we have to use while rs.next method. Now inside this next method, just not outed println and of rs dot get string or maybe get int of envo. For example, if envo, okay, plus comma plus rs dot get a string of ename comma plus rs dot get a float of ecell plus comma plus rs dot get a string of EADTR. Like this, here we are getting clearly. Okay, observe carefully here what I am telling to you. With this, what we are able to get there, the total data here we are able to display. Now this is result set object. If we are executing select SQL here, now we are able to get result set object. Say for example, second one here what I am telling there. Int row count is equal to st dot execute update of insert into emp1 values of there we can provide values directly 111 comma a comma some 5000 comma some identified here we are able to provide the data. Then automatically the record will be inserted into the database table. Then one is the row count value here we are able to get. One is exactly the row count value here we are able to get. Try to understand this, guys, what I'm telling you now. Okay, right, sir. Then this is one thing. If you want to execute update SQL query, again here what I'm telling you, row count is equal to st dot then what we are able to do there, st dot again here execute update method. Here we are able to provide, guys, just give a minute of time, guys. Yeah, guys, then what I'm discussing there, guys, all of you are there, please confirm to me, all of you there. Right, thank you guys. Now here, then another method here what I'm telling there, in row count is equal to s dot execute update. Inside SQL query here we have written. Next one is here I want to write like what there, update emp1 set ecell is equal to ecell plus 500 where ecell less than 10,000. Where ecell less than what there, 10,000. That I'm getting there clearly. Okay. In row count is equal to s dot execute update no update emp1 set ecell is equal to ecell plus 500 where ecell less than 10,000. That's okay, fine. Now observe carefully. One more SQL code. Let me write it now. Then after that I will give some clarity. Int row count is equal to st dot execute update of delete from emp1 where ecell less than 10,000. Guys, all of you understand it clearly. Insert SQL query here we executed. So how many records are affected? Only one record is affected. Only one record is inserted. So execute update method will return integer value 1 to row count variable. Next one. Update SQL query is executed with execute update method. Say for example, 10 records are affected, 10 records are updated. So how many records are updated? 10 records. That all the 10 records, the 10 value will come to which variable? Row count variable. 10 is a value will come to the row count variable. Next one here, what we are getting there, delete SQL query we executed. Say for example, 15 records are deleted. Say for example, 15 records are deleted from database, no? So the value 15 will come to what they know, row count variable. So how many records are affected? How many records are affected in the database? No, that many number of records, that integer value will be written by execute update method. That value will be stored in a row count variable. But execute query method is able to execute select SQL query, fetch the data. That fetched records data will be stored in the form of what object? The result set object. In this way, we are able to get data from what? The result set object. But if we want to execute all the SQL queries like insert, update, delete, no, automatically here we are able to use execute update method. That execute update method will execute the SQL query. There, how many records are affected? That affected number. That number of records which are affected, that number, records number will be written by execute update method. Right, sir. This is one point. Next one is after that. Observe carefully. Boolean b is equal to st dot execute. Execute method will execute either of these SQL queries there. Select star from emp1. Select star from emp1. When it executes select star from emp1, internally result set object is created where the data will be stored. Then after that, it will return a Boolean value to b variable. Now, what value here it able to get there? True as a value here it able to get. Next one is after that. Boolean b is equal to st dot execute method. Here, if you write like what there, update emp1, set ecell is equal to ecell plus 500, where ecell less than 10,000. If we provide this, then automatically update method will be executed. That update method will perform some updates on the database. Internally, some row count value is created. A number of records which are affected, that value you are able to get, but still it able to provide what value as a false value it able to return. When execute method executes select SQL query, it will return true value. When execute method executes not select SQL query, then it will return false value. Guys, all of you are getting my points or not? When execute method is executing select SQL query, then it will return like what there, true value. When execute method is executing non-select SQL query, then it will return what value there, no, false value here it able to provide. Right, sir. Now this is the way to execute all the SQL queries. Write and execute SQL queries here we are able to do whenever we are getting statement or prepared statement or callable statement. The statement object, statement here we have used it, that's okay. Prepared statement, callable statement, we will understand in the future, not immediately. Last one is like what there, close the resources now. Under the closing resources, no, just we have to close like what there, connection. If you close no, automatically result set will be closed, automatically statement will be closed, and finally connection will be closed. So content close is sufficient, not required to close everything. Content close is sufficient. Automatically we are able to close all the resources here. Right? Now this is what exactly the meaning of like what the JDBC steps now. Right, sir. Just close is sufficient, not required to go for the remaining part. Just close is sufficient. Now this is about like what the JDBC, what exactly the steps we required if you want to prepare JDBC application that we prepared clearly. Right, guys? Fine. Then after this, after understanding this JDBC, now here with this JDBC, some drawbacks are available. Only one or two drawbacks only mainly that we are going to understand. What drawbacks are available with this JDBC, guys? Now tell me. Can you identify this? What is this actually? Come on, guys. Answer for it. What is this? What is this one statement I have written now? Boilerplate code. Okay, boilerplate code. Next one is Second one is hard-code SQL queries. Hard-code SQL queries. Okay, hard-code SQL queries. Hard-coded. Hard-coded SQL queries. Okay. Third one is like what there? Boilerplate code, hard-coded SQL queries. The next one is like what there? External concentration on connection management, statement management, and so on. Okay. Understand this point, what I'm telling to you. External concentration is required. External concentration is required and connection management, statement management, and so on. Next one, after this is database dependent. This is what there, database dependent. Database dependent. Why? Because we are writing directly SQL queries. From database to database, SQL queries are varied. We should not say same SQL queries. From database to database, SQL queries are varied. Got my point or not? Database to database, SQL queries are different, not same. So whenever we are changing the database, no, the entire JDBC program we have to change. Okay. Everything we have to change. If we change the database, like data driver class name we have to change, driver URL we have to change, database username and password here we have to change. That means we have to do some code inside our, we have to change some code in our content here. That's the problem here. Okay. Next one is like what there, after completion of this, no security. No security, no good security. Okay, leave it. No good transaction support. Transaction support is not good. No good transaction support. That means transaction support is not good. Transaction support is not good. Apart from that, transactions and as well as like what there, any other one apart from this, transaction support is not good. Okay, right sir, so many drawbacks are available. So many drawbacks are available. Boilerplate code in the sense, I'm telling you clearly. See, if I want to insert an SQL query, all 5 steps here we have to write. Okay, but except one line, because of one line modification, all steps here we have to write. Insert SQL query, update SQL. For any operation, all steps here we have to write every time. That's the problem here. Hard-coded SQL queries are generated. That means every SQL query we have to write explicitly. Queries we have to write explicitly. External concentration is required on connection management and statement management. Database dependent. From one database to other database, so many changes here we have to perform. So it's not at all suggestible. Transaction support is not good. Okay, right, sir. Like this, on the basis of this, so many drawbacks are available. More and more number of drawbacks are available with this. So we have to go for an alternative. That alternative should be like what there, ORM tools. We need to go for next one is what there, ORM tools. Okay. Yeah. Then so many. Then even I'm not talking about result sets, topics, and row sets. Even though they are existed here, but they are dependent only. But so many problems are available. Okay. So because of that reasons, we need to go for like what there ORM tools. Right. Then what is the requirement to go for ORM tools and all we are going to understand in the next class, guys. Let me go for next class now. Then within few minutes of time, I'll start spring class. Those are attending spring class, no, just try to attend for it. Yesterday in the middle might be power failure was happening at my home, so it was might be stopped the class there. But today I'll continue the class. Then try to attend for spring class, guys. Then remaining part I will discuss with you tomorrow.